looking for that, you won't find it.
So before I really even get started with this, I want to lay out my references. First and foremost, 2020 has been probably a better year for me than most years before this. And the last 5 years for me really have been maybe the 5 best years of my life. But 2020, I've kind of upgraded all of the momentum that I've had over the last several years and done a couple of things that have been really excellent moves for me. And it's interesting, it's noteworthy, no doubt, that for so many other people, 2020 has been awful. And there's a lot of people who are suffering in the world right now for a lot of different reasons. And so the most important thing for me is to lay out my frame of reference, and what I want to talk about, I think, kind of gets to the heart of that issue, and maybe can kind of inform how it is that I've been able to go on the journey that I've been able to go on, despite the fact that 2020 has been the dumpster fire year of dumpster fire years. So to start, some of my reference material that I want to get out of the way right away is the last probably 3 months I've been listening to the Jordan Peterson podcast, and I've been just like binging Jordan Peterson content almost exclusively, hours and hours at a time. And of course he references quite a number of thinkers and creators that came before him, not the least of which Dostoevsky, Friedrich Nietzsche, Carl Jung. And so in addition to that, I've also been tackling Dostoevsky almost all the way through Crime and Punishment, which I've actually found to be an extremely approachable work of fiction. And given Dr. Peterson's insights, the story itself is actually quite understandable. I think I brought enough perspective as a grown person, but also somebody who's experienced a few things in life, that I was going to get something out of the book regardless. But it's been helpful to bring Peterson's insights into that before I even started reading it. In addition to that, Dr. Peterson had a podcast, and this is actually kind of an older one. It's about a 2-year-old podcast that he did with the hip-hop DJ Akira the Don, who does what he calls meaning wave, which is like hip-hop music. And another collaborator or source material for Akira the Don is Jocko, who is another one of those motivational figures that I find personally very meaningful. Listen to what he has to say, definitely take some of his principles to heart. And it's actually the combination of something that Jordan Peterson said in the Q&A following one of his lectures that he gave, where he was asked about his favorite movie, and he said it was Groundhog Day. And thinking about Groundhog Day, and then thinking about one of Jocko's comments, that there must be discipline. That discipline is the substitute, not the substitute. Discipline is the factor that gets confused for motivation. Motivation is actually a pretty weak force when compared to discipline, because motivation comes and goes. You don't even own your own motivation. It's like, if you're motivated, it happens to you. But if you're disciplined, you have inflicted discipline upon yourself, and you impose your will upon the world as a result of your discipline. Whereas motivation is imposed upon you. So one of the things that Jocko talks about is that if you're wanting to improve your life, then by implementing a disciplined approach, you can achieve that. And one of the things that Peterson talks about it at length in almost his entire body of work is based on his understanding of the relationship between narrative and not only human psychology, but the human experience in general. And that's where his analysis of Groundhog Day comes in, is Bill Murray's character in Groundhog Day, Phil, gets sent to Puxatawny, Pennsylvania to cover the groundhog, which is the last place that he wants to be. And Peterson talks about it that from the Jungian perspective, the way that the hero is able to go from being the persona, which is like the shallow hull of a person, to being the self, is to go to the place where you least want to be and to incorporate the shadow, which is the spirit of the dragon, which is the chaotic forces of the world. And by facing chaos and overcoming it and incorporating the shadow into your persona, you can become the self. You can become a fully integrated person. And so Bill Murray's character goes to Puxatawny and finds himself living the same day over and over again. And of course, it's Groundhog Day. He wakes up every morning. It's February 2nd, and the same song is playing on the radio every morning. And no matter what he does, he goes to bed or he doesn't go to bed, and still he wakes up on the morning of Groundhog Day with the same stupid song playing on the radio. And he can't figure out how to get out of it. He can't move forward. He can't get to tomorrow, and he has to figure out why. And Jocko talks about this in his conversations about discipline, that if you try to be motivated, one of the things that motivation will have happen to you is you'll say, I want to do this, but I'm going to put it off until tomorrow. I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm motivated to do it tomorrow. And the fact is that Bill Murray can't even get to tomorrow because he has an undisciplined approach of the world. He's got a bad attitude. He's in a place he doesn't want to be. It's everyone else's fault. He's nihilistic. He's juvenile. All he is a persona. He hasn't fully integrated himself. He hasn't faced the dragon. He hasn't faced the demons of the world. He hasn't faced the demons within himself. He isn't even aware that he is a demon. He isn't even aware that he's capable of both heroic acts and terrible acts. He is in fact nothing. He's not even alive. You don't even get to live until you are alive. You don't get to move until tomorrow. So when you think about the fact that I want to put off today what I can do tomorrow, and I'm going to be motivated tomorrow doesn't even happen. You don't even get tomorrow until you are alive today. So this is a time of year when a lot of people are making their New Year's resolutions, and that's great. And I want people to do that. I want people to take this opportunity to look deeply at themselves and find ways where they have space to grow. But you need to understand that when you identify space to grow, you have to inhabit that space, and you have to inhabit that space now. And taking a disciplined approach is the way of doing it, because motivation isn't going to get you there, but discipline will.